Hello. This is my third video about old memories, mainly family memories. Well, let's see. What shall we talk about today? The family name Itzi obviously comes from the word Itz, which means Jerusalem, and indicates that, according to the name, we come from Jerusalem. The problem with this explanation is that it is a very common name, like Halabi, like Beiruti, like Shami. The name does not necessarily mean that we came from Jerusalem. But this is an easy explanation of the name, and my dad used to tell it. So I am not going to discuss it really, but when I looked at the book where the names, the family names of the Armenian Catholic community in Damascus, most of the names, well, let's say maybe 50% of the names, the family names, were Arabized. That is to say, they switched from the Armenian name with the ending Yan to a totally Arabic name that has nothing to do with the Armenian language. So among the family names, a lot of Arabized names exist, family exists, yeah. Like about maybe 50% of the Armenian Catholics who resided in Damascus around the year, what should I say, 1862, something like that. I think that's what the records go back to. Well, most of the names were Arabized. Now, if we look at first names, the same thing can be said. Even in Arabized families, they still called somebody Hagop or Krikor or another Armenian name, even though the family name was Arabized. Now, in our family, if we look at the first names, obviously, most of them were Arabized, like Shafiq, Habib, Hnain, Amin, and so on and so forth. Well, Marie and Rose are neutral, who would say, and George also is neutral. So I will not insist on saying that we came from Jerusalem. I'm just saying that many Armenian families who came before the First World War, because there were two main migrations. After the First World War, when the Armenians were massacred by the Turks, a lot of Armenians migrated, came to Aleppo, Beirut, Damascus, and remained there for a long time. Some of them went back to Soviet Armenia. Yes, but the big migration started during and after the First World War. Those kept their Armenian names. But those who came before the First World War, when the Ottoman Empire included Syria and Lebanon, those tended to mix with the population. They lived in the Christian quarters of Damascus with Christians from other communities, and they became Arabic speaking. Some continued to speak some Turkish. My grandpa used to speak some Turkish, but he didn't know any Armenian. Okay? So, that's about the name. My grandpa was born in 1850. His name is Ilyas Itzi. Well, he was 10 when the Christians in Lebanon and in Damascus were massacred. Now, about 2,000 Christians lost their lives with that upheaval. My grandpa seems to have survived because they were able to reach the center of town where they could take refuge in the citadel or something like that. They were protected there. And in 1962, another event happened. The church burnt down, and all the records were lost, or practically most of them. So that's why we don't have records that go beyond 1830. Those are saved in Bzumar, the former residence of the Armenian Catholic patriarchs, because in the 18th century, Rome was able to convince minorities in each Orthodox church to join the church, Rome, and become Catholic. This is where every community was split in two. They have a minority that joined Rome and the majority that remained Orthodox and continued the Orthodox traditions. Now, the Armenian Catholics were not recognized in the Ottoman Empire until 1830. Before that date, when they owned a church or a school or a building on any property, the Orthodox part came over and confiscated it because they were not recognized. They couldn't own in their own name any property. But as of 1830, the Ottoman authorities recognized the Armenian Catholic Church and other Catholic churches as well as independent churches capable of owning churches, schools, and other properties. Now, the interesting part about this is that the one who brought the news of the recognition was, I think his name was George Itzi, who had gone to Istanbul on a visit, most likely because we still had relatives there. He went to visit. Maybe it was a business trip also, I don't know. But the texts say that when he came back from Istanbul, he brought with him the news that now the Armenian Catholic community was recognized by the Ottoman Empire. Okay, that's it. Now I will stop and take a break. See you next